Durant just won one of the biggest Brilliant Stars tournaments last night. I guess by the time I'm recording this, maybe a night before this. Devour. For each of your deck, Durant in play, discard the top card of your opponent's deck for double colorless energy. Now, this card has always had some potential, and it's been really good from its heyday. But with new double turbo energy, we get more energy to use this card with. My name is Rahul. If you're watching this channel for the first time, remember to like, subscribe. If you enjoy the content, let me know down below what your favorite animal is. But here's the deck. We've got one copy of Manaphy. We've got 4-3 Minccino to Cinccino line to use the make do ability to keep drawing cards. We got to keep finding cards like Boss's Orders, Disruption cards, all that fantastic stuff. 2 copy of Snorlax in the early game to just use Gourmandize to draw some cards. Maybe in the mid game to just kind of stagger our opponents out of the game. 4 copies of Cursed Shovel. Now this tool is going to help us accelerate the discard because if our opponent knocks out a Pokemon with this tool on it, we discard the top 2 cards of their deck. 1 copy of Echoing Horn, put something they don't want on their bench there. Galar Mine to increase that retreat, 4 copies of it. 4 level, 4 quick, very consistent, very straightforward setup cards. 4 copies of Rescue Carrier. Everything in our deck that we would want back, we don't really care about this guy, is 90 HP or less. 3 copies of Scoop Up Net, specifically to move this guy, because he's kind of a problem. And if we Yell Horn ourselves, we want to be able to move it. 4 copies of Boss to stall our opponents out. 3 copies of Bruno, because we need to shuffle draw every time we get knocked out, and 7's a pretty good number. 3 copies of Marnie, just to keep disrupting our opponent. And 2 copies of Peonia to make sure we can check for those Durants in our prize cards if we have any prized. 3 copies of Capture Energy, which is interesting in this build because I didn't expect this to be, the flavor of the month. I thought it'd just be a lot of double turbos and twins. But it looks like Capture Energy has made its way into this deck just so you can, find your Durants early or find that Snorlax early so you don't have Brick. 4 copies of Double Turbo, and 1 copies of Twin. So we have 5 ways to attack with Durant, as well as those captures. So let's jump into some games. In theory, this deck should prey on a lot of players that play a little bit recklessly. Every deck has to kind of research setup. So if your deck doesn't rely on just, setting up and getting the board going, you might struggle in the mid to late game with how to play against this deck because Durant's going to be milling your resources while you're effortlessly trying to set up. Now, again, some of the decks that play properly, like Mew and stuff like that, can just play off their board, can just play properly, and cards like Yveltal could make their way into this deck to just kind of have energy disruption. But at that point, we get a little bit too stally and bricky, and then things get a little bit different, and it gets hard. So I think we want to go second. Going first is good and all, but I think we need to be able to play supporter on turn 1. And our opponents a lot of the time can be able to knock us out, take a quick knockout, swift knockout, whatever. I don't really know what this hand is meant to do turn 1, so we're going to open the Gourmandize Snorlax. If you have an energy in your hand and you think you're going to be able to attack on turn 1, I think it's a worthwhile investment to go for. But I know that I can't attack turn 1. Am I hitting Durant Mirror around 1? That'd be kind of funny. No, it's Inkay. It's Malamar. Okay. So we're playing against a deck that can take all 6 prizes pretty quickly, and also is going to have to shuffle stuff in. And they're going to be able to play off their board pretty reliably, but at the moment we start milling the cards they shuffle back in, maybe we can limit them on the amount of damage we can do. It's a little bit of a hope, but we can definitely boss and use Galar Mine to stick things like their Cinccino line, it looks like, and they won't be able to move this Cinccino line without Scoop Up netting, so if we can burn their Scoop Up nets early enough, it'll work. We can bring this up too, but if they have the Stadium, it should make them in a better spot. So let's go ahead and drop these 2 immediately. We're going to level ball for Durant. We have all of our Durants. Let's check for energies. We have 4 double turbo, 3 capture, and 1. We have everything we need, basically, actually. So I don't know what's in my prizes. I don't really care at this point. All the important stuff is here. So let's go ahead and mine. Let's go ahead and Marnie. We're going to draw some cards to start. I'm going to put my opponent down to, actually, like -1, I guess, basically. We have a capture as well, which is like super, super good here. I'm going to hold the rest of the hand, even though I'm going to grab a Durant here. Actually, we could probably quick ball the Manaphy for another Durant. We're going to keep the level ball for another Cinccino angle to get the Cinccino next turn. A pretty good setup. If we had hit an energy, we would have been able to attack, but we're okay just Gourmandizing on turn 1, going up to a 7-card hand. There's 2 energies. There's a boss for stall purposes. We have a Galar Mine. The hand is kind of perfect, actually. But there are 44 cards. We have to think about it this way. Our opponent is going to draw like 4 to like 6, let's say 6 turns. 38 cards are going to get drawn at some point or another. We have to be able to mill the remaining ones. So we need to do 9, maybe 10 mills at the current moment. So we need them to play some more cards in our favor. We need them to be able to buy some more time for us. The Minccino is here. And he attaches to the active Minccino, which is a pretty good sign for us. Unfortunately, we can't move this yet because we haven't found a Scoop Up Net. But this is a pretty good sign for us because this means that he's committing the energy attachment for the turn here. And traditionally, decks like this only play like the 4 Spiral Energy and the 2 Psychic. So if we can mill those, we can kind of just win the game. Obviously, if he gets an energy down on this Malamar, we're never getting rid of it, which is a little bit unfortunate. So we're going to see a Call for Family. I guess he can bump Stadium and retreat here if he wants to. So we're going to go ahead and just grab ourselves the Level Ball for the Cinccino. We're just looking for a Scoop Up Net this turn, and we can get into business. We're going to get rid of the Echoing Horn, because I do feel like that's not really going to do anything for us in this situation, in this game. His bench is already locked and loaded. Okay, so nothing ideal here, but we're going to go ahead and boss up this Minccino. We can't even draw cards. So I think we'll just put a Twin down, and we'll draw 1. Looking for the Scoop Up Net. Again, nothing crazy here. We're just drawing into all of our energies in the deck. But luckily, we don't discard with this deck. That's like the cool thing. We don't discard energies with this deck, which makes the deck that much better. Our opponent is also going to be digging for their Scoop Up Nets. As long as they don't take a prize, and I don't mind if they take this as their first prize. And if they keep committing cards onto the board like this, it's okay for us, I think. Because now these energies are kind of stranded. They're going to grab a Tower of Waters, but maybe they go bump Stadium, retreat, attack, and put an energy onto the board, which is kind of cool. They're committing to this. Oh, they didn't even put an energy onto the board. Huh. Interesting. Okay. 34 cards. Keep in mind they're already at 34 cards, which means our 9 mills has now become 8 mills that we need to do, realistically speaking. Let's go ahead and trade away one of our rescue carriers. A Yell Horn. Okay, let's confuse our opponent's active and our active, which doesn't make any different animation, I guess, in this client. And we can pass. I actually want this guy to get knocked out, so we're going to kind of keep it this way, because once he's knocked out, then I can start playing the game. Or if I find a Scoop Up Net, I guess I can start playing the game, which shouldn't be this hard because I'm already at 27 cards also. So it should have been kind of a likelihood that I find one at this point or another. But we have the boss Galar Mine RCL once again to bring up one of these Minccinos. Our opponent has indicated that they are willing to attach energies to kind of make this play. This Malamar has 3 retreat costs, even though it's a Rapid Strike Pokemon. It becomes 1. So that kind of works in our favor in terms of like sticking it into the active, and it just can't use the Stadium to retrieve for free. And there's the first research, which is very, very good for us. Now our opponent's down to 26 cards, which, you know, is speeding up the process very efficiently. They do have Ordinary Rods in this deck, I believe, like pretty heavy Ordinary Rod, so they can get cards back. But I'm not like super worried about that in particular. I'm just worried about being actually able to attack. Even the first boss will take out one of our energies. We put this energy here to kind of bait a boss's orders if possible. And if that does happen, I'm not too concerned, because I would like to start attacking, basically. Any other deck would have taken this prize already, so never fear that you'll be stuck in this kind of a situation earlier. And then most decks will not have, like most decks at this point will have exhausted at least 2 of their switches and milled at least 8 to 12 cards. So they would have lost a lot of resources by this point in the game. Yes, we're probably giving up prize cards at this point in the game, but it feels like much, much better in terms of what we're able to do. Our opponent's kind of stuck, but we're not like pressed for time. They need to take 6 prize cards. So I'm going to go ahead and just trade one of these Minccinos. Just draw some. We're playing the Call for Family Minccino as well, just for the purpose of having a Call for Family attacker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can go ahead and thin one more out. And we'll fail it. And we're going to draw 1 with Gourmandize. That's what we get. It's just another Quick Ball. Quick Ball becomes fodder for Cinccino. I'm not too pressed. I'm at 23. He's at 26. It's not a big deal at the moment. Like I said, we're going to be milling for the moment we can get in the active. Now our 8 mills we were talking about has become 6 mills. So we actually have a perfect 6 mills to do, maybe 5 mills, and the game will end. So our opponent has already lost the game, in theory, if we can keep chaining Durants. As long as we can keep chaining Durants, this game is over. They've already played way too many cards, and yes, they may play recovery, but they're already in a situation that is not beneficial to them. So let's see what they do here. More than likely, they probably don't play Scoop Up Nets at this point. They're not using their Cinccino. They probably want to evolve the bench one and retreat this, I guess. Attach, retreat, commit to it, just passing, okay. Maybe they think I can't move this ever. In theory, I can't right now because my hand's kind of bricky, but it's okay. We'll get there. I'll pass. Just chilling. We got our energy on the board. We're at 20. They're at 24. I'm not pressed. I'm just vibing right now. No thoughts, just vibes. And then we'll be milling. You can see how frustrating this is to play against, however, because of how many tools I have sitting in my hand that just kind of disrupt, make our opponents have a bad time. And this kind of process continues over and over again. Yes, more experienced players will be able to kind of play around burning all their resources, but how many players can realistically say that their hands are always going to be okay? They know exactly how to play against Durant. It's a little bit more difficult of a deck to play against, and if you are someone who enjoys having fun, this is definitely a fun deck. Like, look at this guy. You don't think he's having fun? He's an ant. He's devouring. He's vibing. This guy, a squid. Angry. Nefarious. A real bastard. And that's the win. Our opponent was not going to win that game. We stuck him. We didn't even have to mill him one time, but the threat of a mill was there, and we won that game.